We're going to just move forward to the New Zealand Taxpayers Union. I'm seeing Connor in here, so thank you very much.
All right. First of all, thank you to the Select Committee for making the time to hear us today. I'm Connor Malloy, the Campaigns Manager at the New Zealand Taxpayers Union. We are an advocacy group campaigning for lower taxes, less waste, more accountability, and we have around about 200,000 subscribed members and supporters who we represent. So, in summary, we support this bill. We think that the way in which the previous law change that removed the right for local communities to have referendum on the issue of Māori wards was a rushed process, even more rushed than the current process that we have at the moment. It hijacked local democracy. We've been frankly outraged by a lot of the rhetoric that we've seen coming from some of the mayors and councillors in local government in New Zealand, which has been frankly Orwellian doublespeak, claiming it's an overreach from central government to allow local communities to make a decision for themselves about whether or not Māori wards are an appropriate arrangement for them. We believe fundamentally that it should be the people in that local area that know what's best suited for them, not the politicians who are able to screw the scrum in their own way for whatever reason. We think that whenever there is a fundamental change to our electoral system at local government level, this should be put up for a referendum. So whether that's changing from a ward-based system to at-large seats, changing from first past the post to STV, any kind of change like that should be, local communities should be able to petition a referendum on that issue. I note that a lot of submitters have raised concerns around a discrepancy or a perceived lack of fairness around the treatment of certain changes in electoral rules in comparison to the introduction or removal of Māori wards. What we would support is extending the ability to require a referendum to those other areas to bring that equality, rather than ripping that power away from local communities to make a decision that is in their best interests. So that is a broad overview of our kind of position and the position of our supporters. A couple of other things that I'll touch on is that we've had more than 10,000 of our subscribed members and supporters use our submission tool to make submissions to the Select Committee on this issue. The overwhelming majority of those were opposed. There were some in favour. And thanks to the committee, I understand you've allowed us to pull out the individual submissions for them to be counted individually if they're materially unique. So we're working through that process at the moment. Obviously, with the short time frame, we won't be able to get all of them, but there are some in there that are for and against, but overwhelmingly against. Another thing that I would encourage the Select Committee to be cognizant of is you may be aware of our monthly Taxpayers Union courier polling. There's a poll out in the field at the moment, and sometimes during those polls we will tack issue polls onto the end of those. So we're currently doing polling on the Māori wards issue on whether or not it should be the councils or the local community via a referendum that are the final decision makers. I'll send you those results when we get them to the committee, and I would encourage you to pay careful attention to those results. Furthermore, just touching on some of the things that local government New Zealand and some of those mayors and councillors that signed that letter touched on, expressing that local communities are opposed to it. I would just say, what are they so afraid of? It's the arrogance that they feel like they know more about what local communities think is best for them than those local communities themselves. And I think a lot of the, nuance is lost on the fact that those that support Māori wards particularly strongly, this referendum protection applies both ways, that if the community wants Māori wards to be in place, and a number of councillors are elected, perhaps didn't run on the issue of disestablishing Māori wards, they can't remove them without the referendum as well. So in communities where that is well supported for their own reasons, it actually serves as a protection for those Māori wards. So that is something that we believe in. One final point is that we would touch on is from what we're hearing from our supporters and from a lot of the wider commentary. I'll just note that through our submission tool, we've had a lot of past and former elected councillors and also current elected councillors and mayors submitting through our email tool. So I wouldn't take it that it's all mayors and councillors that are in support of it. But also I would note that all three of the coalition parties, as far as I'm aware, had this change in their election manifesto. So from the people of New Zealand, there is a clear mandate for that change. But really that shouldn't matter. What should matter is the views of those local communities deciding for themselves what works best for them. So I'm happy to make some time for questions now.
Members, is there questions? Honourable Willie Jackson.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. What about the views of Māori? Watching the select committee process, the views of Māori seem to be very, very clear. 95% of the Māori submitters want these wards. Do they count for you?
The views of everyone count, and that's why we think that it should be a discussion for those local communities to have those debates.
But you're overriding a Māori view. I've been sitting on the select committee. Just about every Māori submission that comes in has talked. Do you understand? I mean, you would have heard the argument. Do you understand the problem that our people are saying? They're saying if you give a Māori view, you can't get on these. You can't get on these councils. You would have heard that.
Well, I don't think that it's correct framing to frame something as a Māori view
Well,
and a
what's
Pākehā view. There's Māori have a range of views.
Right.
Pākehā have a range of views. And I think that we've seen around the council and around the country in general wards, Māori have been able to be elected.
I mean, do you think your view is arrogant? Because you're talking about the arrogance out there. Māori for years have been looking for this. Here's the problem that we are, and I'm clear about it. You talk about your supporters, but your supporters are all ex-supporters and National Party supporters. 99% of your membership, 99% of your membership are in ACT and the National Party, correct or not?
I would say that's not correct. We do
Well,
support.
what would you say it was?
I couldn't give you the exact figures, but we do supporter surveys every year, and we get back a range of responses around the parties that people support. But I would say that it's not what the previous government did was arrogant by ripping away that power from local communities and dictating, actually, no, we're not going to let you have a say. The government knows best. Wellington knows best.
One more question, Mr. Chair, because it's hard listening to this nonsense. The councillors make the decision. The councillors make the decision. Sure, is that a form of democracy for you? The councillors are elected by the communities. And Auckland, for instance, said no. They said no to Māori wards. Why isn't that enough for you? Why does there have to be, as some of our people are saying, a tyranny of a majority view coming through? Why is that not enough for you?
Well, first of all, the saying that the councillors make the decisions is true, but those decisions are not always in line with the community, and they have a variety of reasons to go against the community. But when it's something as fundamental as the rules around how we elect our politicians and those people that are going to be making the decisions, those can be very hard things to reverse if we allow those, once they're in power, to change the laws around how we elect those people in power. We think any change, whether it's central government level or local level, should require a referendum in order to make that change. I'm sure, there's a lot of discussions around a 4-year parliamentary term. I'm sure you wouldn't support that change unless it went to a referendum where, that's the same exact same principle.
Well, it's just that these councillors, and I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, but these councillors are democratically elected by the communities. They make a decision, they have an opportunity to throw out Māori wards, then you've got to come over the top with your Taxpayers Union nonsense and rule it all out. That's what's upsetting for Māori.
Well, I'll give you an example. So say, for example, a community didn't have local wards, councillors didn't run on a platform of introducing Māori wards, much like the Labour Party didn't run on a platform of removing the ability to have a referendum on it. That's undemocratic. People didn't know what they're voting for. In this case, we think that the communities should decide how that's set. And so we think that, it's not arrogant to say that local communities can decide their arrangements
No, it is.
for
It's
themselves.
It's very arrogant.
Got a further question
Incredibly arrogant.
online. Huhana Linden, please.
Was really interested to unpack, the assertion that somehow communities weren't consulted in the establishment of Māori wards. We've heard time and time again from councils about the consultation, the submission processes that they ran. 900 odd submissions received, 84% are supporting Māori wards. They ran consultation processes to enact the establishment of Māori wards. But do you find it interesting that it's only Māori ward and Māori seats in Parliament that are vulnerable to these processes, that actually the general wards are not going to fall victim to any of this? Rural, general, none of it, only the Māori.
Well, the point that I made is that if there's a discrepancy between how different wards or systems are treated, the right to petition a referendum should be expanded to all of those. If you want to abolish general wards and just have, or localized wards and have at-large seats instead, you should be able to do that if you can get the support through a referendum. If you want to change your voting system, you should be able to do that. You mentioned the extensive consultation that councils had. If the community is in support of it, then great, that's fine. You should have nothing to worry about. But if they're opposed to it, then the councils are making a decision that changes the election rules against the wishes of that local community. That is fundamentally undemocratic and should not stand.
Thank you very much for your submission today. Those questions you've answered, and we have that in front of us. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.